Word when two people use two different languages in a conversation. Is there a word that describes or denotes a type of conversation in which two speakers speak two different languages? In our country, Pakistan, there are approximately 75 languages, from which Urdu, Punjabi, and Sindhi are common, excluding English. So today I found two women speaking two different languages. For example, Speaker 1 has Urdu as their mother tongue. Speaker 2 has Sindhi as their mother tongue. Speaker 1 and 2 spoke their own mother tongue, which are different, Urdu and Sindhi, but both can understand each other's language. I thought that this is known as intermingling conversation, or code switching. In my opinion, we can't use such words because code switching refers shifting completely to the other language for a word, a phrase, or sentence, and then revert back to the base language. Example sentences. They were in a bus and had, adjective, conversation. They were in a bus and had, noun or noun phrase for such conversation. I agree that the question, which is suspected as a duplicate one to this question, is really a duplicate, but its single answer still doesn't satisfy all. In that question, the phrase, bilingual dialogue, was suggested, which I, and others may, think that this refers to the code switching as well, which I don't want here. Some words confuse the readers. Which sense do they mean? I would also love to quote the comment of Lambi regarding the term, bilingual, over here. Bilingual refers to one person. Not two people, each of whom has a passive knowledge of the other's language, but do not speak it well enough to use it actively.
It has been called code mixing in academic papers. Code mixing is the mixing of two or more languages or language varieties in speech. Wikipedia.
One term that comes up in this context is cross-language, or cross-linguistic. I haven't found a formal definition for this term, but it is fairly transparent. It collocates with mutual intelligibility, see below, but also appears in contexts where, for example, the participants in the conversation are employing an interpreter. A couple of examples of use, bold and added. WE aimed to assess the cross-linguistic intelligibility between the related languages as it is in actual practice, i.e. including the effects of the participants' education. Our study therefore offers an overview of the cross-language intelligibility between related languages. Charlotte Gooskens, Vincent J. Van Heuven, Jelena Golubovic, Anja Schuppert, Femke Swart, and Stephanie Voigt, 2018, Mutual Intelligibility Between Closely Related Languages in Europe, International Journal of Multilingualism, 15:2, 169-193, doi 10.1080, 147907118.2017.1350185. People using Skype or web applications can now have a cross-language conversation, each speaking in a different language. Real-time speech translation in 23 languages for business. Read Speaker adds text-to-speech voices to translate your world's voice-to-subtitle software. Monday, November 26, 2018. Press release. Another potentially relevant term is mutual intelligibility. From Wikipedia. In linguistics, mutual intelligibility is a relationship between languages or dialects in which speakers of different but related varieties can readily understand each other without prior familiarity or special effort. Note that in linguistics, mutual intelligibility, generally one refers to inherent characteristics of the languages, rather than special knowledge on the part of the speakers, that is, it's usually used for related language pairs like Portuguese and Spanish or Swedish and Danish, too, but generally wouldn't be applied to, say, an English speaker who knows some Mandarin and a Mandarin speaker who knows some English speaking to one another in their own languages. With that caveat, I think the adjectival form, mutually intelligible, could be used for your situation. The plain meaning of the phrase is fairly transparent and would seem flexible enough to encompass the English-Mandarin situation described above, particularly as it is also used in non-linguistic contexts to describe communication and conversations. Some examples of use, both technical and non-technical, bold and added. Are Urdu and Sindhi mutually intelligible languages? Yarhu answers question, opinions in answers are mixed. In my experience of observing Spaniards and Italians talking in their respective languages to each another, it is possible for them to have a mutually intelligible conversation as long as they speak clearly. Connor Klein, How Different or Similar Are Italian and Spanish, Tsar Experience, August 25, 2016, blog entry. Whatever the differences between the Stoics and the Christians, they can be put into mutually intelligible conversation. Christopher Kevin Rowe, One True Life, The Stoics and Early Christians as Rival Traditions, 2016. So for your example, you could say something like, they were in a bus and had a mutually intelligible, cross-language conversation. They were in a bus and had a cross-language conversation. They were in a bus and had a mutually intelligible conversation in Urdu and Sindhi, respectively. One generally only because I've seen some suggestion that sociolinguistics occasionally use it in a different sense. To see the May 28, 2014 language log post, Mutual Intelligibility, and especially its comments for an informal discussion of the degree of mutual intelligibility of dozens of language pairs.
I believe the most accurate word you'll find for the conversation itself is bilingual, as in, the two ladies were having a bilingual conversation. However, the inability of the two speakers to fully command both languages is a property of the speaker, not the conversation. The term for this inability is receptive bilingualism. You would need to change up the syntax a bit to clarify the situation. The two ladies were having a bilingual conversation, however both were only receptively bilingual in the other's language. Passive speaker is another way to refer to this type of speaker. However, this could also imply that the speaker is simply non-aggressive in their speech.
There is a concept of diglossia. The use of two markedly different varieties of a language in different social situations, such as a formal variety at work and an informal variety at home. American heritage. Usually this term is used when the same people are speaking both languages, e.g. people who speak an official form of the language in formal occasions and a dialect the rest of the time, or else speak English at work and another language the rest of the time. By stretching it a little, we could also call this particular situation, where individuals speak a single language but understand two, as a case of diglossia. In this particular case there does not seem to be any high or low language, but simply two persons from different backgrounds speaking different languages, hence it is a situation of multiculturalism, but sufficiently familiar with the other language that they have a passive knowledge of it. What is interesting to guess is how this situation might evolve in time, by one language supplanting the other. Or a fusion of the two, similar to what happened to Middle English. Or a third language, as English, taking over.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.